I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
Hey, what is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team since 2020, I've reached out, no, not me, the team. I'm not the team. I'm part of the team. Reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we are broadcasting live September 21st. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. And Lala's here. Aisha isn't, but we're going to tell you why Aisha isn't here a little bit later. But we are joined, and Lala's here, and just flying in from parts unknown, there's a lady named Dr. Tachi that's here.
Hi, Dr. Tachi.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Good. Like Dr. Tachi just flowing like Superman, just like Supergirl, or lady just like dropped in.
Let me tell you, my computer was being slow and would not allow me to come on. I'm like, I have to go on now. What's happening? So just in the nick of time, it let me in.
Well, there you go. So what's been going on in both of yours worlds?
Well, I had a nice adventure with a bite of some sort, and my whole face swole up, and I had to laugh because I swear I looked like the female Quasimodo. I could have been flying around the cathedrals of Notre Dame. My face was so big, and I still have a little bit of the problem here, but as you can see, I'm trying to hide it with lighting. But I don't know what got me, but it thought I was sweet, and it thought I was delicious, and it had all sorts of bites. So
sweet and delicious.
Sweet
I've never heard of
delicious.
a bite described in that way before.
Are you sure it wasn't an allergic reaction?
I'm pretty sure it was, because I'm real sensitive. I even have to be careful with like earrings and stuff like that. So I'm sure it was. But when you want to talk about itching, I was itching everywhere. So it was just like, it finally came down today. I was a little worried because I thought, oh my God, because I didn't do any other shows this week after I got bit. So I thought to myself, oh God, I hope I can come on tonight.
Wow.
It was bad. It was bad.
Wow. Well, we're glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Me too.
We're glad you're Dr. Tachi. What's going on in your boring world?
Boring. If this is boring, I'd hate to see exciting. Just trying to take it a little bit easy this weekend, because every day is it feels like with the network that I go to work every night and I work the night shift. That's what it feels like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
let's what are we gonna do first? Okay, let's do some house stuff. Join the Primetime Saturday and Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. Primetime Saturday store. That's the link there. Here's where you can listen to Girlfriend Chat on Patreon, which includes Ms. Jill Jones. And also Dr. Tachi's Enterprise, IndieSuitMedia.tv. What's been going on with IndieSuitMedia.tv?
Oh, wow. Well, we are actually in replay season right now for some of the shows, and some shows we've still got an awful lot that are new and just keep running daily or weekly. And we are now at 18,700 the last time I checked subscribers on YouTube.
Wow. Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Well
Thank
done.
you. You're
All right.
part of that, so thank you.
Once in a while, I contribute. I throw in my hat once in a while in the morning. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow Dr. Vibe. That's me. Just if you want to know who that is, the guy who's got the thing on the background there. Yeah, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. So let's get our first conversation piece up. The arrest of some guy named Diddy.
I wanted to attack this in a different way. Because we have been inundated with all these stories, all of these speculations about who's going to be named in the indictment. We know that they have been watching him for a long time. We know that his legal troubles has started a long time ago. There's always been rumors. But here is what I want us to remember. There were victims. Let that sink in. There were victims. There were people who were drugged. There were people who were trafficked. There were people who were blackmailed or felt guilty enough that they didn't want to come out and say anything. And we have to remember that all these jokes and all these memes and all these speculations that we have involve real people. And we tend to forget that there are people who are probably aching and have to suffer with the consequences of what happened with this. And now their experiences will be turned into butt of jokes. They will probably have to go through years of therapy. They're probably shaking in their boots right now, hoping and praying that their names will not be mentioned out in the public. Their whole life will change more than it has already changed with the experiences that they're going through. And the human side of me, we always like a good story, but this isn't a good story. There is no win-win with this. People were harmed and hurt. They were abused. And there's no joke about anyone being put in that situation. So I just wanted to bring this case up because I know everybody's heard everything about it. It's on the news all day long. Every time you open Facebook, every time you look at Instagram, every time you look at Twitter, everything is Diddy, Diddy, Diddy. But what about the people that he harmed? Can we at least acknowledge that they are really going through hell right now and show them some respect by not making this some huge joke? That's what I really wanted to talk about today. I don't want to talk about Diddy's case. We already know that it's going to be a nightmare and we're going to be learning a lot of things about it. Names will be dropped. But just because people take pictures with him or were in some kind of pictures of him and his parties doesn't mean that they were the ones that were going to the freak off. So you have a lot of speculations and throwing out names that people don't even really know. And that's not fair. And that's actually slander. So you need to be very careful about the words you say and consider the people involved as well. Now, Diddy gonna get what Diddy you gonna get. And we know that. But think about those who didn't want to be acknowledged in this situation at all.
100%. There are real people involved. I think sometimes, and this is not making an excuse, but I think sometimes for some people, not making light of it, but looking at it not from as serious of a standpoint is a way of transcending this for some, because there's so much already going on in the news. And let's not be distracted by not just this, but Diddy himself, because it is an election season. We have a job to do. So let's not get distracted by this. But I think for some people, it is a way. Humor is a way of transcending. Now, that's not for everybody. There are some people who just have to be heard on social media and they'll make up anything. But for some people, there's so much that is going on. We've heard so much of this type of thing and so many other things that is happening now that to constantly process this in a serious manner won't work for some people. So I think for some, this could be a way, regardless of if it's appropriate or not. is not for me to say, because I can't tell somebody how to transcend their sadness, how to transcend their. I can't say that. I know I feel it's not appropriate to make jokes about it because this is not funny in the least. I'm very happy that Howard University not only revoked the honorary degree that they gave him, but also dismantled the scholarship program that was in his name and is not using that money anymore. I don't know where that money is going, but they're not using that money anymore to fund scholarships. So here's another thing, that your money does not solve everything. Your bad behavior, your despicable behavior has now affected the ability for some people to get funding to go to college. So it's deeper than, it's deep enough the way it is, but then you add all the other layers of all the other people that are adjacent to it who are affected as well. I'll also say this, that media needs to be responsible with these types of things. The moment any of this type of stuff comes up, the vultures are out waiting to pounce. Do vultures pounce? No, they swoop in. Okay. So the vultures are ready to swoop in. And here comes ID Network, Investigation Discovery, and they are in production now for a Diddy docuseries, which will debut next year. And is basically the rise and fall of P. Diddy. By the way, nobody called him Diddy. We called him Puffy. Nobody called him Diddy.
Yeah.
That's what he deemed himself, whatever. So we as media, you need to be careful. It's the same thing. I talked about this on Mediascope this week, as well as Wendy Williams, and not to shift gears, but Wendy Williams and her guardian not being happy. They're taking legal action because of the docuseries that premiered in February. So, but it's the same type of thing, right? The moment something happens, everybody is ready to swoop in to tell the story first so that they can get the ratings and they can get the advertising. I'm like, it's way too soon. Although they may have already been in production for this before this happened. And I think that's the case, but it's just too convenient that now all of a sudden, wow, this has happened. It feels too soon to even talk about this. I wouldn't have even said anything about this publicly. Like, it was in Deadline Hollywood. It was in the Hollywood Reporter. It was all. I wouldn't have even said any of this, knowing that there are victims involved. If you're going to produce it and you put money into it, all right, fine. And it comes out next year, talk about it next year. But let this die down first. So as media, we have to stop being so money driven, especially when individuals and humans are involved, as Lala said.
And there's also a lot of people who are looking for that social media money. You've got the amateurs, you've got the other people who want to put out the clickbait, and the clickbait is nothing but pure lies. I mean, the things that I absolutely read this week, I was like, what? Like, because people are so hungry to hear anything, they'll just put anything up. And I was happy to see in a couple of cases where people underneath the threads were saying, this needs to be taken down. None of this is correct. And like saying, we're going to report this. Now some people are at least holding people accountable for what they're doing. And, we also have to remember, Puff didn't do this by himself. Okay, there were accomplices that we need to really be concerned about, and what we need people need to be kind of quiet so that this trial can go the way that it needs to go. You don't need to know everything right now. You need to let justice take its time, just like we don't need to know absolutely everything that our political people are doing when it comes to security of our country. Ain't it a secret for a reason? So some of these things we need to just be patient, lean back, and see how it comes out, because otherwise we're doing more damage than we are by putting out all of these things that are false that can be possibly picked up and then put in the courtroom. We need to be very careful about everything around our judicial system. Now, I'm very sensitive about the judicial system right now, so I take it with a grain of salt.
And if I could add to pick or in tandem with what you're saying, Sean Combs is low-hanging fruit. He is not the ringmaster here, as powerful as some, and there was a level of power there, obviously, because he could do whatever he liked. I mean, in fact, there was a something I saw, I think it was on Instagram, of him talking about he can do whatever he likes, right? And that wasn't necessarily in regard to this, but just the concept that you think you are untouchable is problematic. But even then, he's also loud and boisterous, and that's whoever is really in charge. That's what they like, because
Yeah,
he'll take
sure
out
do.
the loud and boisterous ones first, and you are then untouchable. So when we look at this, he's the least of the ones that are in.
Yes.
This is a larger ring, if you will. This is a larger operation, I'm sure. And Diddy had money, but he's not necessarily the one that is running the entire thing. So I think that's something we also have to remember, that he's the least of all of this.
One of the things interesting now, and it's interesting. Unfortunately, if you're listening to this on replay, but if you're not watching it, I actually showed a clip of Diddy being arrested by. And how did TMZ get that clip?
How does TMZ get anything?
Yeah, no.
Let's start
TMZ
there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I worry about their sourcing a lot
I do.
because it just doesn't sit right with me.
No, that means if they're able to get things, first of all, usually if I hear about something, right? And if I hear about it and I only see the source as TMZ, I'll wait before to see agreement from other people, because I never use TMZ as a primary source.
Right.
Their ways of getting information sometimes are sketchy. To me, they appear sketchy. So I don't know what they had to do. And then I don't know that it's going to come out and be truthful. Although a lot of the times it ends up being the case. But that means somebody somewhere that knows, and that's problematic for me. So I always wait to see the other outlets come out with before I report about it. So
yes, agreed. But this also shows another case of the melanated community. If you look a number of years ago, Diddy was a big figure. Like, I just saw a commercial today of all these celebrities appearing, promoting his white party. There was a time last election, he had this vote or die campaign.
Yeah.
We need, this is just me, I don't say a lot on this conversation. We got to stop idolizing celebrities.
Well, and I don't know if you saw the story that I sent you, Dr. Vibe.
Which one?
I sent 2 stories to you. And the last one just happened.
Well, we'll get to that. We're going to talk about that.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that one too.
Okay.
But this is crazy. Like, do either of you think people are going to get exposed and or fall because of this proceedings?
Yes, I do. I do. And I believe this list is going to be very long. And you have to remember something. Let's look at this situation, because there's 2 different things. There's too many dynamics going on. When Epstein was arrested and put away, those names and those documents were sealed quickly. And we still don't know who all is on those lists. We are just learning a few names.
Mm-hmm.
You watch how many names of prominent Black folk will be coming out on these lists, and quickly. There's a double standard going on here. And as Dr. Tachi said, he is low-hanging fruit. Who's to say they're not using him for a bigger person, but he is the fall person.
Mm-hmm.
So you mark my words, there are going to be some things that come out that wouldn't have happened if it was Epstein.
Absolutely. But I also think that we can't get caught up in that, because I think we got caught up in that whole thing when it came to Bill Cosby versus Roman Polanski and who's the other one? Weinstein.
Yes.
And what we end up doing sometimes is, well, if this person was Black, Okay, that's well and good if we were talking about inequities in the justice system, which often we are. But in this case, like in the case of Cosby or whatever, we were talking about the fact of the amount of victims. And what
Yes.
we do sometimes is we jump to defense. And I understand why we do it, because as people of color, particularly Black people, we are so vilified by the justice system that we automatically come together to support what Black men anyway, right? We will automatically come together to support, to make sure. So I understand where it comes from and why we do it, but we can't lose sight of the fact that something was done that was wrong, and we can't
Yes.
give him a pass. And often
Yes.
we will, because I know there's already people arguing, well, these people could be lying. And there always are. I am tired of our shenanigans and our Negroidianness when it comes to these things. So I know there's already somebody arguing that he didn't do it, or this is the fact, or what. I already know that this is the case. So we have to be very careful, I think, when it comes to not only assigning blame, but assigning correct blame, and then
Yeah.
the person being held accountable for it, and not conflicting that with inequities in the justice system, because we know that's a problem, but this person did something wrong. They need to be held accountable for it.
I agree.
Now we come up to another non-relevant subject going on in the world. Lala. How lies are being accepted during the current United States presidential campaign. Do talk.
Well, I've been in a lot of reflection, and I try not to get caught up so much in the hoopla and the cheerleading for any political party. However, everybody knows how I feel. I am an independent, and I will be voting for Harris. I typically, in my whole life, always voted Democrat. But what I don't like about the way politics has turned, especially under this Trump person, trying to be nice.
Why?
I want to get the fact out that fear is always going to be the driving force behind this MAGA crew. It doesn't matter what he says, they're always going to believe the lie. He can say the sky is purple and they will believe it. You see the videos of people going out interviewing Trumpsters, and they come out and say things, they ask them questions, and then they go, oh no, that was actually Trump who said that. Well, then they change their story. But Trump's whole entire life has been a lie. You have been lied to about this man. And because people accept his lies and thinks he's some great businessman, they believe anything that comes out of his mouth. Now, just a few. And if I read a few, y'all will see just how ridiculous this is, and how we have to really understand the mindset of people who follow this. You're never going to change their minds. They're always going to be the Kool-Aid drinkers. They're always going to be able to take the poison and be happy about it and make it seem like there's some kind of martyrs. So just recently, we know about the eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, which has put a whole section of Americans in danger. And that has been proven wrong. He has no ties to Project 2025, when there are absolutely proof and videos of people discussing their plans behind it with his name. And in fact, I absolutely love that our Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett called them out this week on the Hill, and actually made them forced them to say how many times Trump was referenced in this document, which was like over 200 times, but yet he knows nothing about Project 2025. And there's also a video of Trump actually just saying this week how this is a wonderful document, and they've already laid out everything that he needs to do in his next presidency. He's admitting to it, yet turning around saying he knows nothing about it. Trump has claimed to have once been in a near, now this is ridiculous, y'all, listen to it. I was in a near-death helicopter crash with former Senator Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, where Brown confided to me terrible things about his one-time protege Harris and what they thought would be their final moments alive on Earth. First of all, he wasn't in the airplane and no kind of helicopter. And Willie Brown came out and said, I ain't never been in no helicopter with Trump, and I've never, ever said these things. But see, he plants these seeds so that they grow in the stupidity and the mentality of his followers. This is dangerous in our country. Now, if you truly want to fact check things, you really should before you post anything at all. You can go back to the Diddy thing we're talking about. Before you open your mouth, know what you're going to say. You should always, always think to yourself, is this going to do good or is this going to do harm? Now, I know right now it seems like that goes against all of humanity, but at one time in our period of Americanism, it was the proper thing to do, to think before you open your mouth. As a matter of fact, people were shunned for saying things that they didn't know about. Now we have done a complete flip to accept things that are coming out of people's mouth and not fact checking them. So I actually gave Dr. Vibe a site, which is a Wikipedia, I believe, that lists absolute all of Trump's lies. And it actually has a warning at the top that says you may want to break this down in sections because this document is way too long. I tried to read it today in preparation for today's broadcast. I had to stop. I had to literally stop because that's how many lies are there that have been fact checked. Yet this man is still, even though he's been indicted, still allowed to run for presidency in our country. I am sick of it. I am tired of the lies. I'm tired of the AI generated stuff that he's putting out. We knew that this was going to be a dangerous situation. Just this past week, he did an AI generated picture of Vice President Kamala Harris at a Diddy party. Tell me that he wasn't trying to do some damage there, and took it down immediately off of Truth Social. Of course, anything you put on the internet, my babies, is not going to die. Just because you deleted it don't mean somebody ain't already screenshotted it. So as Elon Musk, these are people that people look up to and are putting them on this pedestal when all they do is rain down lies and fear. And you need to check yourself and really check the fact, are you spreading lies? Are you believing lies? Are you at least going to try to research truth? This has bothered me more than anything this week. And one of the reasons is I had to get really nasty with a congressman this week. I literally wrote a congressman and said, you should have never promised somebody that you couldn't deliver on. And it was just a simple phone call to me about my sister's case. And he lied to me and said, I've been trying to reach you, Miss Key. I'm an international agent. I don't miss no phone calls. I am a realtor. If I miss a phone call, I miss business. You didn't call me, sir. And it took a nasty email for me to get a phone call back. Is this the way of our country? So you didn't have to lie to me. So that's what got me into this vein of, you know what, these lies have got to stop. But what do we do now that we are here? Because you cannot put it back in the toothpaste thing after you done squeeze it out. What do? Well, we call attention to it, and we do our best to make sure that people understand when lies are lies, we call them out. And I know I probably took way too long to discuss that. It bothered me really bad. And it still bothers me. You know, of course, we probably wouldn't have a show if we didn't have all this stuff going on. But I'd rather have truth.
Well, we'd have a show of good news.
Yes, good news. I like good news.
Dr. Tachi.
We don't have enough good news.
Dr. Tachi, I know you want to add in regards to fact checking because you are a member of the media.
I do. Let me first say that Someone who tells lies is a liar.
Mm.
We need to start saying this. What's happening, and it's, I notice the discourse around it. You know, he's told so many lies. Yes, someone who tells an inordinate amount of lies is then classified as a liar. It is a character trait at this point that he lies, thus he is a liar. So I think sometimes we still use the rules of good, decent discourse when, and instead of referring to the person as this is a character trait of the person, it is something that the person has done. No, this is a character trait. He is a liar. He continues to tell outright lies, not even half truths, not even fables. He continues to do this, and he goes left unchecked. Now, but he's basically is like Sheree on the Real Housewives. He's like, well, who gonna check me, boo?
Right.
Nobody
Right.
checks him, because the people that follow him don't have enough critical thinking skills, don't have the critical thinking skills of two smashed flies to say, okay, this is not right. This is a lie, because they believe. And again, cults prey on people who don't use critical thinking, who are weak-minded, and are looking for some sort of savior and are on a search for that. Put those three together and you have the perfect cult member. So the leader, Koresh, now is telling them any number of things and they'll believe. And they're not lies to them, because he would never steer them wrong. So let's start calling a person what they are. Someone who tells lies like this is a liar. When you cannot believe anything that is coming out of their mouth, and you can't, that's classified as a liar. So that's one thing. Also, I agree 100% with Lala. Be careful of what you're sharing on the internet. Do not share. I mean, and I have to even, people will send me all sorts of things and back channel me and DM me with things. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, did you check the resources to make sure this was correct before you sent it to me? Thank God I'm a type of person that checks things. And on top of that, I'm a journalist. So I would never share things but there are other people who will share it right away. But because it's on the internet, it has to be true. So you want to avoid particularly things like, and you may not think you're doing anything wrong, right? But particularly things like images that they've used AI for to show Kamala in places that she's not. Don't share those. They are not adding to the truth in the matter. So even though you're just trying to show this is what they show, no, there's always some dummy out there, some idiot who's going to take that and say, see? So don't share those types of things. It is as much as you would like to. If it's not helping the discourse, if it is not helping the story or the cause, don't share it. And then also, if you remember, it just came up. I think this happened a few months ago. No, it happened recently too, on the campaign trail, and Joy Reid showed this on her social, where he's now turned his sights off of Haitians onto Congo.
Yes.
Talking about that they're opening their prisons, and now Congolese are coming. First of all, spell Congo. Second of all, show me where Congo is on a map, and you cannot. Third of all, as an African, first of all, I was highly offended when it came to Haitians. I'm like, how very dare you?
Yeah.
Now you're talking about Africans too? If anything, if I don't know anything else, I know Africans. It is not that easy to come here. In fact, you all have made it that much more difficult for Africans to come here, because we're not the type of people that you want here. So therefore, you've made it that much more difficult. Never mind that we come to this country and overtake and clean up and do well. Forget that. We are not those types of people you want. So it's very difficult. You think Congolese people could come here that easy with a civil war going on, all the exploitation that's happening? So now they're coming out of jails, and are they taking the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria? Is that what they're doing? Is that how they got here? Let's use a little bit of common sense. That is really literally impossible. There's no way. If we may have believed that, maybe with Haitians, some people may have believed it because of the proximity of Haiti to the U.S., not with Congo. Impossible. But his followers don't know where Congo is and can't spell it either. They think it's halfway between Wakanda and what was the name of the country that was in Coming to America? Okay.
I forgot the name of that. Yeah, but yeah.
All right. So they think that's where it is. So I think this is a bigger problem. This is, you know what? I'm surprised that there hasn't been a him before now, because we have done an excellent job of dumbing down the educational system.
Yes.
Purposely, so that you don't know geography, so that you don't understand some things are impossible, so you don't go and search 3 sources before you share anything. We've done a good job of that. So we've purposely dumbed down the population. Not everybody, obviously, but we purposely dumbed down the population, because a dumb population makes great sheep. They are sheeple at this point. So I'm not even just blaming whoever's in charge now. I'm blaming the fact that we purposely have de-educated ourselves. And so you end up with someone like a him. I'm just surprised it hasn't been before now.
The fact checking. And it seems that I heard today that Ms. Harris has approved another debate for October 10th on CNN, but 45 has said no at the president's.
He's not coming.
No.
Listen, we don't have to worry about him coming to anything again. He didn't want to do the first one.
Nope.
There was pressure for him to do that first one, because had he not shown up, that would have been an indication of weakness. And that's one thing he can't stand. So he had to show up. He performed poorly.
He doesn't need to do another debate because he won, according to him.
Well, exactly. There's also the delusion. There's also the delusion of that he doesn't need to do another debate. But you haven't proven anything. You haven't talked about policy. You haven't done anything to show that. Listen, he's not, even if it's there and they schedule it, he's not coming. I'm very surprised he showed up for this one. Very surprised, and very surprised he didn't walk out early.
So Mignon Cam says 45 cannot function a debate and just learned my mother supports him, so pray for me.
Oh, wow.
But if there's another debate, you know what that means? Another watch party. Yes.
Yeah.
There will definitely be another watch party, but I don't think my man gonna show up. Like I said, he's still trying to wash off that handshake.
He's not.
Okay. Well, fact checking. Well, let's move on to our next conversation piece. Georgia pro-life abortion ban literally killed a woman, and she won't be the last.
No, she will not. But this is the first one to go on record since Roe versus Wade has been turned around. And she is a part of our Black community. Her name is Amber Nicole Thurman. And I want to say her name. She was a little bit past the 6 weeks. This was in Georgia. And she tried to get an appointment, but because of the Roe versus Wade ban, the clinics were so crowded that her appointment went over time. So they did give her the abortion pill. And she did take that. However, not all of the particles were expelled. And I'm trying to put it in a polite way, and because that's pretty hard to take. And so she needed a DNC. And that means that's when they go in and they scrape the uterus to clear anything out. They weren't allowed to do that. She ended up dying because of sepsis. And this is directly related to Roe versus Wade being overturned and all this ridiculousness that these far right Christians are pushing on this agenda. Listen, get out of people's beds, get out of people's bodies. If you serve a God, then you're the one who's going to answer for yourself in front of God. You let that other person deal what they need to deal with in front of God. That's none of your business. That's not none of your business in between that person and God. This young lady was a mother of a 6-year-old son who now has lost his mother due to this. And this will not be the last of this. This is not going to be the last. There's probably going to be so many, we can't even cover them all. But this one here is precedented in the fact that this was the first one that is actually documented to be the first one that has died due to the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
This is very upsetting. It was upsetting when it was overturned, right? Because again, as Lala said, this is not anybody's business. Why are you concerned with what's happening in my house? That doesn't affect your salvation. If it's wrong, it will affect mine, not your problem. So and again, let's not call them Christians because that's not Christ-like. They're not Christians. I don't know what God they serve or who they purport to follow. It's not God.
I agree with that statement more than anything.
Not my God. My God doesn't believe in that type of thing. And it's not your business. If somebody is really going to stand judgment, read your Bible. It's not for you to judge. Judge lest ye be judged. I guess unless it's you. So I think 100% this will not be the last unless we take it back to the way it was. I think that they have really stirred up in some people in the public's mind that abortion is rampant, and it is not. It is not a rampant procedure. First of all, it's a medical procedure. It's almost surgical, depending on what it is. And it's not something that is taken lightly. So that's like saying that anytime you have a backache, I'm just going to go get back surgery. No, that's not what people are doing. It is not that simple. Okay, so she ended up taking the pill and she died of sepsis because everything, like you said, was not expelled. But there are other instances where a woman would need like a DNC. And this messes with that as well, because it's assumed that any of that could be abortion-like. So if you would need a DNC procedure to clear something out because you couldn't, that could happen to you too. So it goes beyond just abortion and now denying healthcare, because it's not even about abortion. The thing is, you've denied healthcare to someone who needs it. That is anti-Hippocratic oath. Anybody who's a doctor has to take a Hippocratic oath that says they will do no harm. You, in this country, you don't refuse service to people if they are in dire straits. And they refuse because they didn't want to go to jail. I think there's going to have to be a larger movement too by doctors. You cannot just be in your white coat with your high-paying job in your office anymore. I understand you don't want to go to jail, but you all have to stand up for what's right.
That's right.
You have to stand up for what's right. I'm sorry. There is no change without struggle. And simply because you went to medical school and now you make 6 figures, some cases 7 figures, and you don't want to mess that up, it's not about you anymore. Now it's about country. You can't stay silent. So when you know something is being done wrong and you have to refuse, damn it, go to jail and let people bail you out for this. It's good, because the only way it's going to change is when people start protesting. That's what happened with the civil rights movement, right? These people, and I'm not saying go to prison. I don't want to, after all, but these people were willing to go to prison for what was right.
That's right. And that's where we are. So many people fear. Once again, we're right back to fear. Are we so afraid to stand up for what's right that we still cower back now and just shake our heads? That's not going to move us forward. That's not going to help any kind of progress whatsoever. We always say vote. We understand that. That's all we talk about on this show, is really getting you out there in the understanding of the whole process, because most people don't even understand the whole process of the political system. So we are here to help educate you and call out the things. And listen, we call out our own party too. So that's what I love about being on this show, is we're not just bashing one party. If someone does something repulsive in our party, we also call them out too. because that's the right thing to do. But if we all step back and we just shake our, oh, just bad, just bad, nothing will ever change. We have to be willing to step up and do what needs to be done to correct the wrongs that are being done now.
We have not transcended struggle. I'm saying I think that we're in an age of technology. We're in an age where there are laws that seem to be in place, but I'm sorry, American society is being held together by a thread, like that loose thread on the sweater that somebody's trying to pull and the whole damn thing unravels. So that's my thoughts about it. But we seem to be in a place where there are some protections and things. So we think, oh, we's free. We're fine. We're not. We're not fine. And just the only way that we got rights before was by demanding them. You can't ask people like this for rights. You have to demand them and take them. Yeah, it really is a tragedy. And I really send all of my, positive energy and prayers to the family. It doesn't do much, but it's sad. Nobody wants to be a test case when it comes to these things. And that's what they did not realize. You say you're pro-life, but you're pro-life until it comes to law enforcement having the ability to take people down at will, or when it comes to death penalty. You're pro-life, until those things. And so they pick and choose what their life or their pro-life is about. I think it's nonsense. And once again, that is not for the government to decide. I think the overwhelming, and this is scare tactics by evangelical camps, that this is being used as a form of birth control, and statistics will show you it is really not. This is a serious medical procedure that people go through, that women go through, and it's not like it's an easy thing. Okay, so the fact that, oh, I'll just go get one, that's not the way the majority of women are thinking. I'm not saying that there are not women who do think like that. Not saying that at all, but the majority, that is not the way they think, or at least that is not what I'm postulating that they think. And it also costs money. This is not, it's not free. This is also something that costs money, and it costs not only in terms of money, but there are also, for some women, feelings and things involved there. So it's a very complex thing that is between, as has been the cornerstone of the Harris campaign, between a woman and her doctor. Nah, y'all. It has nothing to do with you. It's not your business. And so honestly, if that's the case, then since you want to do that, then there are some other things that should be regulated as well. What do you need Viagra for? I don't care.
Dr. Tachi.
What do you need Viagra for? You don't need it. No, that is anti what the Bible says, and but wouldn't that be between you and your doctor? Why is this different? We already know what the reason is, but that's not your business. Just like it's not my business that you want to pop Viagra pills like they're candy. This is not your business.
All right. Well, okay. The only way says what I meant was, my people do not take all to medication is all. Okay.
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
No problem. Mignon Camp says, my sterilizations, I was under anesthesia and had stitches, and they dragged it out for 2 years, hoping that I would change my mind. While a man can go into a doctor's office and walk out with his vasectomy.
Wow.
As if you weren't in your right mind. Oh, she'll change her mind. They don't do that with vasectomies. So the whole thing is HIPAA. What happened to HIPAA, right? What happened to all of this? This is not your business. This is nobody else's business. They are there to, yes, doctors should be there to advise you. But if there's something that is threatening your health, something that, what's with all the dragging it out? So, okay, I'm going to stop because it's very annoying.
Okay. Do you want a break, or do you want to move to the next conversation piece?
No, either or, I'm fine.
Yep. You're fine? We'll move on. Okay.
Yeah.
More Americans, especially young adults, are regularly getting news on TikTok. This is an article from Pew Research, which is a reputable organization, by the way. Dr. Tachi, you brought this up. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I wanted to look at this in terms of the areas that young people, and not just young people, but people in general are getting their information from. So we've seen, particularly in the case that we just talked about with Diddy, etc., that social media is rampant, or information on social media is rampant, and people are actually getting their news. So when you talk to, if you just, for example, talk to some Gen Zers, many of them are not watching regular newscasts. They're not reading newspapers online. So they're not getting information from traditional news sources. Also, let's talk about this, the fact that traditional news sources like newspapers, they have their information often behind a paywall. So some of these other things, like Pew doesn't, obviously, because you can get their studies firsthand, and you have sometimes for some newspapers a certain amount of articles that you can get for free before you have to pay. Now, whether or not, we could argue whether or not it's not that much, but the point is that there are some people who just can't do it or don't want to. I'm one of the ones who doesn't want to. I cannot pay for every single news source that I need in order to do that. And so at the same time, it's like, well, you don't expect people to work for free, right? But that's notwithstanding. So the point is that there are things that are behind a paywall that people can't get to. Most people, when you look at Gen Z, for example, some of them are cord nevers. Meaning, when we're talking about cord cutters, people who have cut cable, etc., some people are cord nevers, like they've never had access to cable. So this generation, Gen Z, has grown up. Some of them have cable, but they've grown up often without access to broadcast television, right? Meaning ABC, NBC, the local affiliates, unless it was part of a cable system. And that's not what they watch. Particularly not CBS, which is a station that skews older. So they're not watching news on traditional linear television. They are probably not following it on online, because they all have an online presence, but the way they present the news skews older. It's not something that is interesting enough to draw young people in. So Gen Z, definitely not alpha, some not lower millennials, they're not drawn to the news, and those news outlets are not doing anything to really draw these people in. So enter news outlets like, you have Cheddar. If you know Cheddar News, you can do that. Newsy is another one. Those are really they were founded to be a millennial focus, but now they continue to be Gen Z focused to bring them news. A lot of the news is financial, etc., but that is one way that they are trying. So let's get away from the traditional news setup. And what do you have? You have a lot of these content creators on TikTok that are making daily broadcasts about what's happening in the news, right? They're already there. So if they're already there on TikTok, it makes sense that they're going to gravitate towards that for the news. All you have to do is put in the search, for example, Harris campaign. A whole bunch of stuff pops up with that. And so also let's talk about this, that TikTok is also getting to be one of the largest search engines. So when people search for things, what we're talking about, particularly Gen Z, and I keep pointing to them, but particularly for them, instead of, they're not using Google all the time, they're going to TikTok to look for things. So it makes sense that increasingly news is being gathered and consumed by people that are on TikTok. And I keep pointing to the younger generations, but that's also Gen X and a lot of people that are there. If you're already spending a lot of your time on TikTok, it makes sense that you also will look for other things besides entertainment. And that will be news, that will be information, that will be learning, education as well.
Okay. All right.
I have to say I do. I have my favorites. I have my favorites because I know that everything that they've reported has been up and up. And I tend to go to the social media before I do, say, CNN and stuff, because I don't trust those sources all the time. That's sad, but I do have some really good people that I do follow on social media for up-to-date news.
And many of us, it's not just laziness, it's also that many of us don't have time. So it takes longer to fire up the television, to go to a channel to look at what you want. It takes longer sometimes to get to a website, to do a search, to get to a website. But if you're already on TikTok, and it's going to provide you a search like right away. And by the way, if you all remember, the way these algorithms work is if you are already investigating something, it's going to show you more of that. And so if you're already in the matrix of looking for news on TikTok, it's going to show you more of that type of thing. And you keep going down the TikTok rabbit hole. I know we all do, right? It's like, what? Who said this? And then you click on this, because now you can also have like these basically hyperlinks in there that take you to like the original source or what. So you could be there on TikTok forever researching something and getting your news that way. So
Mhm.
it's quick. It's quick, and it makes sense because people are already there.
Let's get to our last conversation piece. And as I said at the beginning of our conversation today, there's a reason why Aisha's not here. So tell us why Aisha's not here, Lala.
Our beautiful Aisha will be celebrating her 50th birthday on September the 23rd. So she is taking this weekend to celebrate herself with some self-care and some love with her family. I want to make sure that you understand that Aisha does more than this show. She is very active. She's very vocal. She makes beautiful articles. And I want to encourage you to please go and read her article on Medium. She has a lot of good stuff there, but her reflections on turning 50 is a beautiful read. So for her birthday gift, guys, please make sure that you go and comment on her article. Give her some love. Give her a shout out if you're on any of her social media. Let her know that she is loved, and that we are glad that she made it around 50, around the earth's. That's what I say. 50 birthdays. And we miss her tonight, but I wanted her to know we were seriously thinking about her. And I hope that she has so many blessings that she just cannot hold them.
All right. So that is it. Great conversation, especially to Lala. Thanks for hanging in there, because I know it's been a challenging week. But much thanks for hanging in there. So, as always, I'd like to thank the ladies for taking the most important thing, their time to hang out with us. Dr. Tachi, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, like it says there, I am really reachable on Instagram at Dr._Tachi. Feel free to reach out to me. And please, please, please watch Indie Soup Media. We have great programming, including this show, which is we do some replays on Fridays, Monday through Thursday from 4 o'clock on, and then Friday from 5 p.m. on. Great, wonderful creators. We've got 30 shows. So check us out on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live.
Yes, and there's the website address too,
Yes.
for those who check it in. All right, next up, the lady who fought it through, and there she is.
Lala.
Oh, God. She's like a bandit.
Love my loves. You can find, I made it really easy for you. All you have to do is go to this site and you'll get all of my social media, some of my articles, and a lot of free resources. I downloaded a lot of free things for you guys this week about credit, about home inspections, about spring cleaning, about all sorts of things, saving money for down payment. So it's all at this site, bit.ly/Lori Key Info.
Website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at drvibeshow, and an email, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Always just a little reminder, check Primetime Saturday, the Discord group, email me. There is the link for the store. And then finally, there is Patreon where you catch Girlfriends Chat. And then finally, one other last thing, I got everything. You can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then on my website, the drvibeshow.com. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith, and happy birthday, Aisha.